Members, it's the time for election of chairman for the panel on education in the legislative session 2022. The clerk has issued notice to members informing them that by the deadline of nomination, only one valid nomination has been received. Professor Priscilla Leung was nominated by Mr. Chu Kok-kun, and the nomination was seconded by myself. As Professor Leung is not the chair or deputy chair of any other panel or relevant government advisory bodies, in accordance with the rules of procedures and the House rules, I declare Professor Leung the chair of the panel on education. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Tang Fei. Now we move on to the election of Deputy Chairman of Panel on Education in the 2024 legislative session. The clerk of the panel has issued notice to members informing them that by the deadline for nomination, only one valid nomination has been received. Mr. Chow Man Kwong was being nominated by Ms. Derry Lee, and the nomination was seconded by Mr. Ronak Chan. As Mr. Chow Man Kwong is not the chairman or deputy chairman of any other panel or relevant government advisory bodies, in accordance with the rules of procedures and the House rules, I declare Mr. Chow Man Kwong the deputy chairman of the panel on education for this legislative session. Congratulations. As you can see, tabled before you is the schedule of meetings for the 2024 session, and that we should continue to hold meetings on the first Friday of every month at 10:45 a.m. If you agree, then we will adopt the schedule of meetings tabled. Any comment or objection? If not, now we move on to the items for discussion at the next meeting. The next meeting will be held on in the next meeting, there were two items for discussion, including physical education and arts education in primary and secondary schools. This item was carried forward from the last legislative session. It was proposed by members of this panel, and I think that this item is very important as well. And in the last meeting last year, there were two members who were not a part of the panel who proposed this item for discussion. We should accord priority to items proposed by members who are part of this panel. So I would like to ask members, should we discuss this item? If we all agree, then this is the first item that we will discuss in the next meeting. Second item, we will discuss converting a directorate post under Curriculum Development Institute under Education Bureau to a civil servant or non-civil servant post. That's the item proposed by the Education Bureau. Do we all agree? If yes, then these are the two items of discussion in the next meeting. You can refer to CB bracket 47/2024 bracket 01 I would like to ask members if you have any proposed items for discussion for the 2024 session. There are 7 members who have pressed, 8 members who have pressed the button. Please be succinct and finish with your speech within 2 minutes, because we're not here to discuss any item. There are 9 members in total. First, Dr. Taek Ji-yin. Thank you, Chair. We are all concerned about the mental health of our students. I understand that there is some work being undertaken by different departments. I hope that we can discuss this subject as soon as possible. We need to identify high-risk students so that we can follow up on them to lower the risk. Second, we've discussed this multiple times on homework policy. We all understand that students have to do a lot of homework in Hong Kong, and that's not beneficial for students' development, which also affect their mental health. In our country, we have rules stipulating the amount of homework allowed for each student, but the situation in Hong Kong is not as ideal. I wonder if the administration has any measure to improve the situation. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chu Kok-keun. Thank you, Chair. The recent student suicide situation is a great concern, and I think that there is some urgency in this issue, and we should discuss it as soon as possible. Also, for the wastage situation with teachers, we should discuss it as well. Teachers are faced with huge pressure, and their remuneration cannot be improved, and they have high workload. Also, on VPET and the Applied Technology University, we should discuss that. And we have not reviewed the primary one admission scheme or system and the secondary school places allocation system. We should review that. Also, on remuneration of school staff, including clerk and workmen, their salaries are very low, and many schools cannot hire janitor because their salary is at $13,000 a month only. Next, Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, Chair. Schools are unable to hire not just workers, but they are also unable to hire INT teachers. On VPET or the Applied Technology University, we usually do not target non-local students in terms of VPET. With low birth rate, how do we attract students to study VPET? On regional education hub, the government has been talking about industrialization of the education industry and establishing this regional education hub. This has also been mentioned in the policy address. I think we should follow up on that. Ms. Lillian Kwok. I think we should discuss the patriotism or patriotic education. On VPET, can we start VPET in the secondary school stage? Should we expand the QR system to secondary school, or perhaps we can work with VPET schools in the Greater Bay Area? On the sister school systems, we have not reviewed it so far, and they are playing an more important role currently, so we should review this system. I would also like to talk about mental health. We have this 3-tier support system. should not we not review the mental health issues on, for example, the 3-tier support system? The second tier is now in a vacuum. I think that we should review it. On school administration and the pay scale of staff in primary and secondary schools, as well as special schools and kindergartens. On the breaking up of general studies subject to humanities and science, I hope that we can discuss that. Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, Chair. I hope that in this 2024 session we can talk about the allocation of primary school premises, because there are a lot of matchbox schools. They need to be reprovisioned. There are a lot of secondary schools that have really dated and dilapidated premises, and they want to be relocated. I hope that we can deal with that as well. We also need to discuss Hong Kong DSE, and we should review it to see how the subjects under Hong Kong DSE can boost the economy, because for pure science subjects, previously we have 30 to 40% students taking them, but now only about 10% of students are taking those pure science subjects, and that is not conducive to our development either. Thank you. Dr. Chalman Khan. Thank you, Chair. I have 3 items to propose. First, we should promote Hong Kong into a international regional education hub. We should promote internship and provide visa support for students. I think that we should discuss that. Also, we need to enhance the monitoring of university, especially with UGC. I remember in the first legislative session of this term, this item was listed, but we did not discuss that. Third, on the supply of teachers training, in the report of the UGC, we thought that with low birth rate, we don't need that many teachers, but actually the wastage rate is up 20% year by year. The wastage of teachers will affect the educational quality. I think that we should review it. We shall not reduce the number of places for teachers.
Next, Mrs. Regina Ip. Thank you, Chair. First of all, on the list of outstanding items for discussion, the monitoring of international schools. Mount Kelly School had some issues, as some parents reported. There wasn't much report. I'm not sure whether the problem has been solved. I'd also like to know the latest admission situation of international schools, as well as the wastage of teachers. These figures will let us know whether we indeed have a brain drain. There's no lack of students in international schools. That means we do not have a brain drain. We still have international talents in Hong Kong. The Education Bureau has talked to us about QEF, Quality Education Fund. Some reported that the application procedures are cumbersome. For the fund of $5 billion, the fund was established in 1997. There was an increase in the fund, but I'd like to know the latest situation. View noted. Next, myself. Likewise, I'm concerned about national education, especially its promotion in the local aid universities. There was a report on national education on the community level. What about promotion by professional groups? Will national education elements be incorporated in CPD courses? Next, how can we groom and retain talents, including the graduates from local universities? And when students in the countries along the Belt and Road, when they come to Hong Kong and graduate, are there any policies allowing us to retain these talents? Next, Mr. Ambrose Lam. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to follow up on the science subjects and humanities subjects in primary schools. Last November, the Education Bureau announced the curriculum framework. This September, textbook publishers will have to publish some textbooks according to it. It will be implemented starting from 2025 to 26 school year. I suggest the Education Bureau should tell us about the latest situation and the groundwork that they have laid in the middle of this year. We are concerned whether teachers are all set. Some teachers taught general studies, but this subject is very much different from humanity subjects or science subject. Next, Professor Lau Chi Pang. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to talk about two matters. There were some outstanding items about the topic of nurturing and retaining talents. This year, we've seen many talents coming to Hong Kong, but the children of the talents that have come to Hong Kong could not be admitted to local schools. We should review our existing policies. Can the local student quota be increased? It's come to my attention for some mainland talents, they'd like their parents to be admitted to American international schools. Can we look at the situation? From STEM to STEAM, we've gone through a lot of changes. Many principals have this idea. They would like teachers to acquire more information. Teachers have a heavy workload, so when they need to acquire more knowledge, it is not easy. So this is not conducive to acquiring more knowledge for teachers. We should see how we can foster a better environment in which teachers will be able to acquire more knowledge. Next, Professor William Wong. I'd like to follow up on STEAM education. Technology changes in society, and we need to review the implementation of STEM education, not least AI education. On teacher training, we should implement small class teaching. I also agree we should discuss VPET. With AI, we also need middle class in addition to people in the higher echelons of organizations. Mr. Chu Kwok Kung, 1 minute. It is important to improve the dilapidated school premises. For Northern Metropolis University City or University Town, how can we foster the collaboration among the government, academia, as well as industry and research with the with the decrease in school-age population? We need to study its impact and how we can plan the school places in different districts in order to ensure long-term development of schools. Thank you, member, for your comments. Together with Deputy Chair, I'll discuss with the Secretary for Education our work plan. The matters discussed today or raised today will be listed on the list of outstanding items for discussion. I'll discuss these items with the Secretary for Education. If you have further comments to make, please submit the comments to us in writing. Any other business? There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you, members.